in just 6 weeks. Well, we have a senator who has been appointed a month ago by opposition leader Peter Dutton to find waste here and start cutting when they win government. Joining me is the Coalition's new Shadow Minister for Government Efficiency, Jacinta Price, who is also, of course, its spokesman on Indigenous Australians. Jacinta, great to catch up with you again. How is your list of waste coming along? When are we going to see what you have in mind?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, there is a lot to trawl through in terms of waste that the Albanese government has managed to rack up. And we're in the middle of compiling all of that information at the moment. We will get to a point where we'll be able to highlight more specifically exactly those measures of waste that we certainly want to make sure that we cut back on. But I know that we're keen to trim down in terms of the public service, making sure that we maintain the front line and essential services. But also, I mean, I'll give you one example of a grant that was brought to my attention, which was around ensuring that scientists could be taught how to develop drag shows in order to attract the LGBTQI community into STEM. So there's no doubt going to be a raft of those sorts of measures that I'm not kidding you, you can't make this stuff up. That's one example, but I know that there's much more than that exists within what this government has been doing over this last term.
Have you ever considered mainstreaming Aboriginal programs, and not just for savings, but so that we give welfare on the basis of need and not race?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, this is something that I have been talking about for some time now. Within the Indigenous portfolio, I know that our direction will be, when we win government, is to ensure that we're providing support for our most marginalised based on the fact that they're marginalised, not necessarily on their race. And look, I visited a wonderful place in Warrnambool just the other day, the Gunditjmara co-op, that are providing health services for the whole community and doing a wonderful job at that, and creating their facilities with little support from governments. But these are the sorts of things that we're looking at. We're looking at funding outcomes as opposed to pouring money into organisations just because they tick an Indigenous box, because this is what the Labor approach has been, and evidently that's not actually closing the gap. So we will be outcomes focused, outcomes driven, as opposed to just pouring taxpayer dollars into measures because they tick an Indigenous box. We'll be taking a different approach.
Jacinta, last night I reported on the activists identifying as Aboriginal who said they were traditional owners from the area around Bathurst and Orange, and they were the ones that somehow persuaded the Albanese government to effectively ban a gold mine, as you know. They now want the peak of Mount Panorama near Bathurst declared a significant Aboriginal heritage site because 2 years ago they scattered the ashes of one of their members there, a guy on the left of this picture who claimed to be Aboriginal. These claims are getting ridiculous. What's to be done?
Yeah, look, this is what's going to happen if we continue to go down this particular direction. You can't simply, hold an event or some kind and then declare a place sacred because something like scattering of ashes occurred on a particular piece of land, because this could be conducted all over the place if we decided to bow down to these sorts of demands, effectively, claiming all these bits of land sacred and therefore should not be accessed by the rest of the community. We will be, and we will come out with our reforms in time enough, but we will be reforming the Heritage Act, the Aboriginal Heritage Act, to ensure that we aren't going down the road of shutting off things like climbs, like the Mount Arapiles climb, the climb in Mount Warning, significant parts of our country, because some groups want to make claims on these places. because we believe that the entire country is, we shouldn't be prioritising on the basis of those who came here in Australia first and those who've come later. We're all Australians, we're all equal, we all belong to this country, and we need to limit these sorts of demands being put on parts of our country and ensure that all Australians get to have access to our wonderful country. Yeah, it's just, this is the approach that we're going to take. It's the common sense approach.